Next up at UFC Vegas 94, we have George's favorite, Ho Choi, taking on Bill Algeo. This is another fight with a ton of line movement. Ho Choi plus 235 dog, now only a plus 142 dog. And I think a lot of that has more to do with Bill Algeo than it does Ho Choi. But Ho Choi 14-4 in his career. But he is 1-3-1 in his last 5. He is coming off that draw with Kyle Nelson over a year ago. Also coming off a fight with Kyle Nelson is Bill Algeo. He's 18-8, but 3-2 in his last 5. And Kyle Nelson just TKO'd him standing. Ho Choi is a name that you didn't see for a very, very long time, and now we've seen it a couple times in the last few months. He's an exciting fighter. He's got 5 fight of the night bonuses in 7 UFC
few
fights.
Months.
He's fought twice this year, and he didn't fight for 5 years before that.
What are you talking about? He fought Kyle Nelson a year and a half ago.
It was that long ago?
It's February 2023. And that was his first fight. He didn't fight twice.
No, this is his second fight. I'm saying he's going to be fighting twice this year, and before that, he hadn't fought in 5 years.
But that's
his last
not
win,
even close.
His last win is 8 years ago. And that's the point I'm trying to make here, is this is a guy who has been around, but you don't see a ton of him. Like I said, he's got 7 wins in the UFC. Or sorry, 7 fights in the UFC.
God.
5
How much sleep
fight
have
of the
you
night
had?
bonuses.
Are you doing okay?
I've only had an hour. I'm not okay. 5 fight of the night bonuses and 7 freaking fights in the UFC. Okay? We good? That's established. Fighting-wise, striker, good takedown defense. He does a great job throwing straight punches, staying active without getting too wild. He is very talented, but he's got that spotty record. I do blame the record, though, on how quickly the UFC rushed him. He came in, he was excited. The UFC's like, give him ranked fighters. And then that sort of wobbled his career a little bit. He's taking on Bill Algeo. Bill Algeo is certainly the veteran in this spot. Fast-paced striker. He's got that karate-style stance, the good placement. He's got good striking defense. He lands 6 significant strikes per minute. He does like a dirty stand-up war if he can keep it there. His takedowns are okay, but the takedown accuracy isn't great. Takedown defense isn't great either. He is a BJJ black belt that doesn't really use it very much. He does have plenty of cardio, a great pace, typically very durable. I'm saying typically because he was just TKO'd standing. I did have some problems with that. Do I think he was going to win that fight? Going into it, I did. Not after he was on ice skates, but he was standing. He didn't fall down. He didn't have the fence holding him up. He was just standing on his own, and the ref jumped in and stopped the fight. It was definitely premature, and there's only a minute left in that round, and I will forever be annoyed at that. But Bill Algeo is typically a pretty durable guy, and this is a tough fight to pick, just like most fights on this card, because I think Choi is certainly better than his record. And Bill, I don't think he's as good.
14-4.
Yeah, but he's 1-3-1 in his last 5.
Well, I mean, he beat the shit out of Kyle Nelson.
And then the point was taken away in that 3rd round, which forced a draw. I do think Bill Algeo wins this fight. I think the activity, I think the the versatile striking there with the karate bullshit, which I don't typically like, I think that all benefits him, and then certainly the BJJ black belt. But Ho Choi is very, very good. But he hasn't won an MMA fight in 8 years. He is young. He is exciting. We just mentioned he was on his way to beating Kyle Nelson, but gave up a point in that 3rd round to force a draw. Bill Algeo's burned us before. Don't bet on him here. That would be crazy. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I think that's a very important part to bring up because, Ho Choi, there was a lot of question marks, that long layoff against Kyle Nelson. At that time, we really didn't realize how good Kyle Nelson is. Ho Choi came in and did a fucking number on Kyle Nelson, was going to win that fight. There was not even a headbutt. Like, we saw Pierre Rodriguez headbutt my lock of the week. Wham! Wham! I mean, that was hard, intense headbutts. That was an easy DQ. Ho Choi kind of just leaned in a little bit and just hit him a little bit. And Chris Tylone leans like, oh, stop, take it point. So Ho Choi answered a lot of fucking questions about that layoff, came in looking really sharp, had some wrestling on his own right, and now That win, now it's a draw, but that win has aged like fucking fine wine because Kyle Nelson has looked very fantastic. And if you want to play fucking MMA math, Ho Choi smoked Kyle Nelson, and Kyle Nelson smoked in Bill Algeo. Who knows if that fight would have kept playing out. But, I think Ho Choi is the better fighter here. And I think Bill Algeo is the veteran, and he's the tough guy, and he's the slick guy, and he can grind this fight out. But as far as skill for skill, I think Ho Choi is the sharper striker. He's shown off now that he can wrestle and grapple. I do worry about maybe the weird submission game of a guy like Bill Algeo. If there's weird scrambles, I think he's going to be a little bit more comfortable there than Ho Choi. But, I think Ho Choi is the better fighter. He's going to be my pick. And I might end up betting him. I'm keeping an eye on the odds, but I just think he's the better fighter.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think I do think Ho Choi is probably certainly the more talented fighter, but without winning a fight in 8 years.
He just beat Kyle Nelson, dude. Come on.
You just said it was a year and a half ago, and it was a draw.
It was his last fight.
A year and a half ago. The inactivity.
Okay, but you say he hasn't won in 8 years. He won a year and a half ago. His last fight.
He didn't win. That wasn't a win.
He fucking won, dude.
Did he?
I mean, you want to play semantics and be weird, but he fucking won the fight.
I literally am. I think Algeo wins here, but I can't trust that guy with my money. And Ho Choi, I agree. I think he's the more talented fighter. He's certainly still young. The inactivity is crazy. I just don't know what this guy's going to look like after these giant, long, extended layoffs. I wouldn't mind a Ho Choi win here. I'm not going to have a bet on Bill Algeo.
I'll be honest. If I didn't have Deani Lock of the week, it might be Ho Choi.
Hey, listen, I'll be rooting for him. I got no money on Algeo. Picks and bets are not the same thing. I'll be happy for an exciting Ho Choi win, and then hopefully he stays active so we can get a little more out of him. Either way, $7,300 in DraftKings Fantasy for Ho Choi. $8,900 in DraftKings Fantasy for Bill Algeo. Bill is not going to cover that salary. Do not spend the $8,900. If you're on the Choi side and you think he can be exciting, and you think that maybe Kyle Nelson got to Bill's chin a little bit. Bill's getting a little older. Maybe that chin won't be as stable as it once was. Well, then Ho Choi should be your pick, and $7,300 is going to be looking mighty, mighty, mighty fine. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. You can unlock the picks, the bets, the round line leans, the DraftKings Optimizer, the Prop Hunter, and a million other things right now. Entire month, WeWantPicks.com.
Mighty, mighty good man.